Hi everybody, I'm here today for my Facebook Live, and what I want to share with you today is a card that I made to thank anybody who placed an order with me on Saturday, which was World Card Making Day. So I had posted, I did a Facebook Live to show you some of the cards we made at the Stamp Club that day, and what I've done is designed a card to say thank you to everyone who not only was in my Stamp Club who put an order in because they were in Stamp Club, but also to the ladies that put orders in besides that. So this is the card, and you'll notice the stamp. So this actually all coordinates. Sorry, I'm going to grab my catalog. So everything on the stamp coordinates with the Magnolia Lane suite, which is on page 37 and 38 of the annual catalog. And so it has beautiful beautiful designer series paper. It's really hard to cut into, but I have to force myself to actually cut in and use it. So this suite actually comes, you can get the Good Morning Magnolia stamp set, which has this beautiful large magnolia and a little small one here. The stamp set I'm using today, actually, while it coordinates with the stamp set in the annual catalog, it is from the Experience Creativity. And so this little brochure is a brochure that Stampin' Up! Brought out to support beginner stampers, but there are some beautiful stamp sets in it, including this one called Magnolia Blooms stamp set. So this is not in the annual catalog, but is available to order if you're at all interested in it. And you can reach out to me to get more information, but it is item 152729. I'll put this information into the post after I'm finished. But it has happy birthday, thank you, and congratulations, so it's perfect. And then the two little flowers and a leaf. So what we're going to do today is make the card that uses this stamp set, Magnolia Blooms. Okay, so to get started, what I've done is I've cut a piece of early espresso cardstock, and I've cut this 5.5 by 8.5 and folded it in half to form the card base. And then I've cut a piece of this is part of the, both of these are from the designer series paper. Aren't they beautiful? So what we're going to do is use these. Now I have cut this one a little bit bigger. This first piece is 3.5 by 5.25. And this piece is 2 by 5.25. Again, I'll put these measurements in. And that just gives me enough space to overlap these and to be able to adhere. So what I'm going to do is just kind of put this piece on here. I'm hoping I'm seeing everybody, but I'm not, so that's okay. I'm hoping I'm actually live. Yes, I am. Okay, so grab my snail. Oops. Of course, I don't have my snail here. Where is it? Here it is. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just kind of put this on here so I can align these. So that piece goes at the bottom. You can see I have overlap. This left lots to overlap. So that one goes there. I'm going to put some snail across here so that I can put these on. Put these two pieces together. So get these aligned. There we go. Okay, so now that gets these two stuck together. And so on my card, I'm using this is the petal pink organdy striped ribbon. And so what I'm going to do is wrap this ribbon. So you need maybe 6 inches of this ribbon. Okay, so I'm just going to put that like that. Put some snail. I'll take it back because I've lost it. There we go. All fumble fingers today. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this and adhere it to the snail on the back on both ends and just make sure it's done. And then the other piece that I put on this is scallop lace trim, and this is really pretty. So we're just going to add a little piece of that just to add a little bit more detail. Again, 6 inches is plenty. We're going to do the same thing here. It's a little harder to get the snail to stick to the ribbon, but if you press a little harder, it will. Okay, so wrap that around like that. Okay, so just to give it a little bit more detail on top of this, the pink ribbon. Okay, so now we can actually adhere that. Take your snail and adhere this, get it lined up to the card. I really wish I could see everybody, but I can't for some reason. Anyway, okay. Okay, so we've got that. So the next piece of this is to take a scrap. We only just need a scrap. And using the Memento Tuxedo Black ink, we're going to, I think I've got enough here. Yep. I'm going to stamp that. Isn't that a pretty stamp? Okay, we're just going to let that dry for just a minute while I grab. I have some Stampin' Blends here. So these are the alcohol markers from Stampin' Up. And so I've grabbed the light and dark of Petal Pink. That coordinates with the paper. I've grabbed the, actually I'm going to use the light of the Mossy Meadow for the leaves. And then I've grabbed both the light and dark of the Crumb Cake. So I'm going to put Crumb Cake dark in the middle, but I'll show you what I just did around the edge of it with the light color. So what I do when I'm coloring with the blends is I always start with the lightest. And I typically go over, so you're going to have to watch me color, but we're going to cut this out. So if I go over the lines, it's not so bad, but you don't have to be perfect with this because we are going to go over it again. This is just to lay down some color underneath everything, and then we're going to go back in and add some other, the dark shades of this. So we'll do that. So that's colored that. Now I put in the middle, I put the dark Crumb Cake in the middle of my flower, and then I go in and I'm just going to go, and typically I just go in where there's already shading, for example here on the stamp, and I just lay down some of the dark in the same tone. Again, you don't have to be perfect, because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back, and I always use the brush end. There are two ends to this, each of the Stampin' Blends. There's the brush end shown by the dark, the thick line, and there is the little the regular end that you can, the marker end. And so I tend to use for the bigger spaces the brush end. When it comes to the leaves, which are smaller, I will use the marker end, just a little easier to control the color. So then I just go over this and try and blend in the lines a little bit. So it just gives a little bit of detail. When that dries, hopefully it'll show some of the darker spots. I think you can see it on the card I made. There are some darker where I've added some of the darker color. Okay, now I'm going to go in and I'm going to just use the brush, or the tip end, and color in the leaves. These are small. I actually didn't go in and add in any of the darker shading. They're just kind of small to be able to do that, so I just colored them with the lines. So you can use the Stampin' Blends for shading like this on the flower. You can use them for just coloring. They're beautiful to color with. Okay, now I'm going to take a pair of the paper snips, and you're going to have to watch me fussy cut this. But again, I'm not a perfect fussy cutter, and I don't try to get, you can see, I don't try to get perfectly up to the black line. And I'll show you what I do to kind of hide that a little bit, the white that's showing. So I don't know if maybe you like fussy cutting. I don't actually mind fussy cutting. I don't like to do a ton of it, but I don't mind, you know, on the occasional flower. You know, sometimes it's easier to just fussy cut it out than pull everything out as far as a die. And if there are no dies for a stamp, you can definitely just fussy cut it. All right, getting there. Okay, a little bit more. So when I was taught to fussy cut, the goal is to actually move your paper. So you can see I'm turning my paper as opposed to turning the scissors. And that's supposed to make it easier to fussy cut. There, okay, doesn't take too long. Put my garbage. What I did then is I took the light blends again with the brush end, and I just kind of went around the edge of it. What it does is kind of hides the white. Can't actually see it too much. You don't like that on the, so you can see it a little bit on the flower. What you can do is you can actually go back in if you want with your light of the petal pink and just kind of shade that a little bit so that you get rid of that line. But I just like the way that it kind of hides the white that I missed. I cut too much and didn't get close enough because I wasn't really trying to get close enough. Okay, so now the next step with this is I took, where's my linen thread? Here's my linen thread. So I took the linen thread and I just wrapped it around my fingers about 3 times like that. And I cut it off. Pinch those 2 ends together. Pinch the 2 sides together like that. And I'm reaching for snail. Oh no, not snail. Dimensionals. Oops, of course I dropped them. Hang on. There we go. Okay. So what I do is I take my snail and I'm going to put it kind of about here. So I just take the snail and put a little daub right there, and I kind of put my linen thread. You can fuss with it after you've got everything on, but that'll do for now. Then the next step is to take, this is vellum cardstock, and this is the sprig punch. So I'm just going to punch out 2 of the sprigs using that punch, and using a glue dot. I'm just going to take a glue dot and put on here, and my pick tool, or as I like to call it, a take-a-pick tool. I don't know why I call it that, but I do. Okay, and I put a sprig going this way. And then I'm going to take maybe 3 dimensionals just to make sure it's on there. Okay. And there. So that's that part done. Now, of course, I have to get a piece of Whisper White cardstock. So I'm going to take soft suede, get it off, and the thank you. So this is the thank you. You could put happy birthday, for example, but because these are thank you cards for World Card Making Day, I just stamped there, and I'm going to punch it out using the 1.5 inch circle punch. And this is perfect for this thank you. There we go. And then I'm going to take this small flower from the stamp set. Gosh, I've got a mess. You get a mess when you're stamping? I do. All right, this is Petal Pink. Sorry, I took that, open that. So this is Petal Pink. This is the color that is in the designer series paper. So I've stamped with Petal Pink, and I'm just going to stamp right over top with this flower to give a little bit of detail, so it's not just a plain, close my ink pads. Okay, and then take a couple of dimensionals and this can go right here. Get the thank you going so it's not crooked. There. So I'm going to adhere a piece of, this is Whisper White cardstock, and this is cut 5 1/4 by 4 inches, kind of the standard size that fits in. I'm not going to stamp anything on here when I give these away. I'm just going to leave this as a blank, but I am going to put a note on a separate piece of paper. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to challenge the ladies that get these to actually send these cards to someone else to thank them for something else, so that we continue sending cards to everyone. So I'm going to leave that as it is, and when I send it out, I will include the note on a separate piece of paper. So that's my card, and if you placed an order with me on October 5th, you will get one of these when you pick up your order. I was so excited to be able to stamp with my stamp club on the morning of October 5th. That was our very first time meeting as a group. So it was fun to get together and get to know each other. And I also had another lady come and stamp with me that afternoon in a techniques class. And we did a whole bunch of heat embossing techniques. So she was excited to do that. So thank you very much for dropping in. I hope you enjoyed my card. As I said, I will put the item number for the stamp set that I use, because it is not in the annual catalog. It is actually in that the Creatively Yours, something like that, Creative Experience, sorry, brochure. So if you are interested in ordering this, I'll put the order number there, the item number there, and you can order it. This is my hostess code for the month of October, so if you are placing online orders, you can use this host code, and I will be sending you my thank you cards for placing online orders. That's everything. Thanks very much, and thanks for joining, and I hope to see you online with me next Wednesday when I do my next Facebook Live. Thanks, everybody. Bye.